Let me ask you something. Do you actually believe that how you're performing right now is the best you're ever going to do? Or deep down, is there this feeling that won't go away? This quiet voice that keeps telling you that you should be doing more, achieving more, being more. That feeling that you are just not where you are supposed to be. That's your true potential, talking to you, and you keep ignoring it. Now here's the thing. Knowing that feeling exists is one thing, but how do you actually do something about it? How do you push through when life gets hard, when everything in you wants to stop? That's exactly what this video is about. David Goggins spent his entire life figuring out the answer to that question, and he put everything he learned into his book, Can't Hurt Me. But instead of just listing out the lessons, we're going to do something different. We're going to follow his life, chapter by chapter, and show you exactly which moment forced him to discover each lesson. Because here's what makes Goggins different from every other self-help author out there. He didn't learn these things in a classroom. He didn't read about them in a book. He learned them in the darkest, most brutal moments of his life. And that's exactly why they work. The things you're about to learn will help you break through whatever is standing in your way, whether that's your health, your career, your education, or just that gap between who you are right now and who you know you could be. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to close that gap for you. But if you're ready to do it yourself, let's get into it. Let me ask you something personal. Were you dealt a bad starting hand in life? Did you grow up with parents who were supposed to be your protectors, but ended up being the ones you actually needed protecting from? Did you experience racism? People looking at you and deciding before you even opened your mouth that you didn't belong? Or maybe it was something else. That feeling in school that everyone else just got it, and you didn't. That quiet humiliation of sitting in a classroom, watching everyone around you keep up, while you fell further and further behind. David Goggins felt all of it, every single one, at the same time. As a child, before he even had the words to describe what was happening to him. David was born on February 17th, 1975. His father's name was Goggins. Now from the outside, the Goggins family looked completely normal. Father, mother, 2 boys, a business. Nothing unusual, but what was happening inside that house was a completely different story. Trunnis owned a roller skating rink, and every single night, while every other kid their age was at home in bed asleep, Goggins and his older brother were on that rink floor, cleaning, working, serving, until 2, 3 in the morning, every night, under their father's watch. And if the work wasn't good enough, there were consequences. David grew up watching his mother get hurt. He grew up in a house where fear was just normal, where the person who was supposed to love you most was also the most dangerous person in the room. Think about what that does to a kid. By the time Goggins started school, the damage was already done. He couldn't concentrate, couldn't retain anything he read, couldn't keep up with kids who had slept the night before. He developed a stutter so bad that being asked a question in class felt like a nightmare. His hair was falling out in patches from the stress his little body was carrying. He was falling behind, and the further he fell, the more those labels started sticking. Slow, difficult, problem child. He was a traumatized kid that nobody stopped to actually look at. Then his mother did something that must have taken everything she had. She packed what she could, grabbed the kids, and walked out. No plan, no money, just out. Because anywhere was better than there. They ended up in Brazil, Indiana, small town, predominantly white, not exactly welcoming. So what did he do? He started cheating on his tests just to pass. He graduated high school, barely. and by every single statistic that exists for kids who grow up like that. David Goggins should have been a number, another cautionary tale, another wasted life that nobody was surprised by. Nobody would have blamed him. The road from that childhood to a completely wasted life was straight, flat, and very familiar. Challenge 1. Your dealt hand. Before we go any further, I want you to do something. Whatever your version of that story is, whatever you've been carrying from where you came from, I want you to write it down. Not a summary, the whole thing. Every detail, every feeling, the full story. We're going to need it later. Because just like Goggins, that thing you've been treating as the reason you can't, we're going to turn it into the reason you can. Chapter 2. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking that Goggins has been through enough, right? Yeah, life didn't see it that way, because the person he was going to become couldn't be built on just a hard childhood. He needed to go lower first, a lot lower. After leaving Brazil, David's family moved to Indianapolis. He enrolled in North Central High School, and for the first time, things felt a little different. Bigger city, more diverse, and David, who had spent his whole life feeling like he didn't belong anywhere, finally found his crowd. Wrong crowd, but still, a crowd. He started dressing differently, hanging out with the wrong people, becoming someone his mother didn't recognize. His mother saw it immediately, and she did what she had to do. They moved back to Brazil, Indiana, but David brought everything with him. The attitude, the style, the whole thing. And in Brazil, it cost him. Despite being one of the better basketball players in his school, David didn't make the team. Not because he wasn't good enough, because of racism. Simple as that. And that, after everything, broke something in him. He'd already spent his whole life being told he didn't belong, that he wasn't enough. And now, even the one thing he was good at had been taken from him before he got to try. So he did what a lot of people do when the world keeps rejecting them. He became the stereotype. Not because he believed in it, but because if people were going to treat him a certain way regardless, he may as well give them a reason. At least then it felt like his choice. He stopped showing up to practice, stopped caring about his grades, just stopped. But here's the thing about David Goggins that even he didn't fully understand yet. Even at his lowest, there was still something in him that refused to completely give up. Because underneath all of it, quietly, privately, he still had one dream. He wanted to join the Air Force. But David had absolutely no idea how much education mattered for military selection. So when he sat down to take the ASVAB, the Armed Forces Entrance Exam, his instinct was to cheat, as he has always done. Except, when he looked around, everyone beside him was doing a completely different version of the test. There was nobody to copy from. For the first time in his life, he was completely on his own. No shortcuts, no way around it, just him and the test. He went home that night, walked into the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and he didn't look away. For the first time, he just stood there and told himself the truth about what he'd become, about the gap between who he was and who he knew he could be. He was disgusted, not with his circumstances, not with the racism or his father, or any of the things that had been done to him, with himself, with what he'd allowed himself to become. So he started a ritual. Every single night, he'd stand in front of that mirror, shave his face and his scalp, get completely honest with himself, out loud, nobody watching, just him and the truth. He wrote his goals on sticky notes, his targets, what he needed to do, plastered them all over the mirror, so that every morning, before the world got to him, he had to face them first. He called it the accountability mirror. And it changed everything. From that point on, Goggins only focused on three things: working out, basketball, studying for the ASVAB. That's it. Nothing else. He chose discomfort on purpose, deliberately, every single day. His history of abuse made learning genuinely hard for him, which meant he had to work twice as hard as everyone else just to keep up. But he did it anyway. Challenge 2, the accountability mirror. All right, your turn. Think about one thing, just one, that you've always wanted to change but keep putting off. Break it down into steps. Write each step on a sticky note. Put them on your mirror. Not as decoration, not to make you feel good. As a daily challenge, you have to answer with your actual actions. Every morning. The mirror doesn't lie. And from today, neither do you. Chapter 3. So what happened next? Did Goggins finally catch a break? Come on, you know better than that by now. Life doesn't reward hard work with an easy path. It rewards it with a harder one that's actually worth something. Goggins eventually passed the ASVAB, got into the Air Force, started pararescue training. But there was a problem. Growing up the way he did, Goggins had never properly learned to swim. He'd kind of taught himself. And in the water confidence tests, it showed. While everyone else moved through the water like it was nothing, Goggins was fighting just to get through. Every single test. Then life handed him a way out. A blood test came back, showing Goggins carried the sickle cell anemia trait. The doctors pulled him from training, medical grounds, and Goggins, exhausted, struggling, beaten down, took it. He left the Air Force, and then he fell apart. He used the gym as a coping mechanism, eating without any real discipline, training without any real direction, until the body he had built for service ballooned up to nearly 300 pounds. He got a job spraying cockroaches, night shifts, dark, empty restaurants, driving from building to building at 2 in the morning while everyone else slept. This is Goggins at his absolute lowest. The kid who survived the abuse, the teenager who survived the racism, the young man who built an accountability mirror and clawed his way into the military. Now 300 pounds, spraying cockroaches at 2 a.m., going absolutely nowhere. And then one morning, he got home from a shift, sat down on the couch, and turned on the television. There was a documentary on, about Navy SEALs. He watched men being pushed to places most humans will never go. Freezing water, no sleep, everything his body feared, happening to real people, in real time. And something happened inside him. Not inspiration exactly, something colder than that, more serious, a recognition. That was where he was supposed to be. That was his life. And he was sitting on a couch at 300 pounds, watching someone else live it. He started calling Navy SEAL recruiters, over and over, getting turned down every time, until he finally got through to a recruiter named Shaljo. Shaljo agreed to give him a shot, but there was a catch. Goggins had 3 months. 3 months to lose 106 pounds and pass the ASVAB again. 106 pounds, 3 months. These thoughts remained on Goggins' head, but he did not let the thoughts stop him for long. At 4:30 a.m. every morning, he would munch a banana and hit the ASVAB books. At 5 a.m., he would bring the books to the stationary bike and read it while cycling. He had to cycle first to some weight before he could run. Then he would swim from 2 to 3 hours a day, and then go to the gym for strength training. After that, he would cycle for 2 more hours. Once he was light enough, he incorporated body weight exercises and short runs. 3 months later, the weight was gone. The ASVAB was passed, and Goggins had earned his place in Navy SEAL training. The impossible task finished. Challenge 3. Callousing the mind. Goggins didn't get through those 3 months on motivation. Motivation runs out. Everyone knows that. He got through them by choosing the hard thing. Every single day. Even when, especially when, he didn't want to. That's what callousing the mind actually means. Every time you choose discomfort over comfort, your mind hardens a little. Like skin that toughens up after enough friction. What used to break you stops touching you. So here's what I want you to do. Open that journal again. Write down the things you avoid, the stuff you keep putting off because it's uncomfortable. Now start introducing them, one at a time, gradually, not all at once. That's not the point. The point is to choose the hard thing on purpose, repeatedly, until it stops feeling hard. That's the callus. And one day, that callus is going to carry you through something that would have destroyed the earlier version of you. You have heard about the darkest period of this man's life in this part. But Goggins was not hard enough yet to become the baddest man of the planet. That will come later. Part 2, coming soon. Subscribe so you don't miss it.